Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Golden Gloves Chat Show. With me, Keaton Gomes. Keaton Gomes, South African heavyweight champion. Peter Smith, one of our top trainers in the country. Welcome, guys. We've got a lot to talk about. It's going to be exciting. We haven't chatted for a while. Keaton, your big fight signed now for the 13th of May at Empress Palace against Joshua Pretorius. And of course, that's brought to you by World Sports Betting and a Golden Glove Show. Let's talk. A lot of we've never had this conversation before. The last time I chatted to you about a fight, Chris Thompson. I want to ask you your background, where it started for you, your amateur career, and then we'll chat further about the fight. Where did it start for you, your love for boxing?
No, thanks for having me on the show, Brian. So my boxing career started in Durban.
Yeah, Durban boy.
10, 11 years old, going through a bit of anger issues, smashing all of my mom's things. And then she finally had enough and let me start boxing. It was something I always wanted to do. But obviously, my mother wasn't too fond of her son being a fighter and all that. But she ended up letting me start. And from there, it's just, I've been in love with it. And my parents have supported me since. I ended up starting amateurs at 12 years old. I had my first fight, I think like about 3 weeks into boxing. Not knowing much about boxing, I remember my first amateur fight. I went out there and I just brawled. I was just swinging and throwing haymakers because I didn't know anything about boxing yet. And then after that first fight, that's when that bug bit. And I thought, no, I want to do this again. And then after the second fight, it happened again. I want to do it again and again and again. And then, boxing just became my number one priority.
Born and bred in Durban, you are the South African heavyweight champion. Keaton Gomes, I remember speaking to your dad one day in Durban. He came up to me many years ago, must have been 6-7 years ago, and he said, my son can really fight. What do we do with him? And I said, well, he's got to get to Joburg. This is where the action happens. And you've got to be with a good trainer. And obviously, you phoned Peter Smith. Tell us about your relationship with your brilliant trainer, Peter Smith.
So I got quite lucky. Uncle Jeff was in Durban, in Belito, and someone in Durban knew Uncle Jeff and knew you guys. And they invited me for like a lunch there at Gateway Mall. And we just started speaking. And then Uncle Jeff said, well, obviously he said he's going to come back, speak to Rodney, speak to everyone and see what we can do. And he came back and he phoned, I think it was myself or my mother, and said, can we be up here next week for a training camp? And then they still wanted me to like come spark Kevin Larina and all that. And like, yes, Kevin used to be like my idol back then. And I remember Kevin had his bursa on his arm at the time. So there was no sparring. I got the opportunity to train with Peter and all the guys instead. And I think I did 3 days worth of training with Peter. He took me to the track. He showed me what boxing's about. He absolutely destroyed me. And then we came and had a meeting here in Rodney's office. And he said, he asked Peter, would he train me? And I think Pete said, yes, he'll train me. And they said, can I move up next week? And I flew back down to Durban, packed my bag, said goodbye to everyone. I came straight back. So
Fantastic.
That's where it all started.
Well, you've done a great job, and well done to yourself and to Peter. Peter, let me talk to you while he's giving you all those compliments, which you obviously deserve. When he joined you, did you see the potential of a South African heavyweight champion, which he is now, and we'll talk about his future?
Yeah, Brian, I had to work with Keaton. And I saw a lot of rawness about him. That's what I loved about him. And he had this passion for it, and that's what feeds me. I'll deliver the goods with the skills and the developments and all this stuff. But I just loved his passion and how he gave up so much. It kind of made me like, whoa. He sacrificed. I think he even sacrificed his girlfriend. And then I thought, wait a minute, this guy's marrying the game. So I said, well, let's see what we can do. And then, we started working together and we started connecting so well with the boxing. And it's just amazing. He's developed over time. And, I'm just proud of him. He's done so well. And, I told him, you're going to experience hiccups, but that's not what boxing...
Well, let's talk about that while you're on the subject. That was my next question. So he's only had 2 losses to Lebo, Moshito. All his other 9 wins were brilliant wins. Have you guys learned from that? Obviously, he's had 3 knockouts in a row since then.
It wasn't much of a learning curve. It was in a way of facing defeat and how you can come back. Because, the thing with Keaton was, I don't think we knew where to find him in the division. He's not a cruiserweight.
No.
When he was fighting cruiserweight, he was losing all that weight. I could watch him, even his demeanor change. And I said, what's wrong? What are you, you're eating or are you doing right? Or what? So I don't think he felt good as a cruiserweight. He felt like it wasn't for him. I watched him losing all that weight, made him even like his stamina decrease. Let alone his power, because he's a very powerful puncher. And I don't want him to think like that. I want him to be a smart fighter that can deliver the punch when it needs to be delivered.
Well, he looks good as a heavyweight. I mean, his last 3 fights have been fantastic. Knocked out Sean Potgieter in 1 round, knocked out Danny Nokwe in 1 round, knocked out Chris Thompson for that SA title in 6 rounds. So he's done fantastically well as a heavyweight. So I agree with you. I think
he carries it for 12 rounds.
He's in the right weight now. Let's talk to you again, Keaton, about this fight. Now, let's talk Joshua Pretorius. It's the big fight signed for the 13th of May at Empress Palace. He's had some good ones against Jean Roux, Willem Nebi, and he lost to Thompson, who you stopped in 6 rounds. Talk to us about the fight now with Joshua Pretorius.
So we know Josh. I watched Josh's first profile with Chris Thompson in Durban. I watched it live. We know what he's going to bring. We know he's coming. He obviously wants the belts, like anyone who's challenging. That's what they want. But I believe my coach's game plan, and I just got to stick to it, is far superior than all these other guys' game plan. So I know I don't have to worry about anything. I just got to trust in my coach and do everything my coach wants, stick to game plan, and I'll come out victorious.
And he's a tough guy, in his 15 fights, he's only been stopped once ever, and that was by Flo Simba. So he's a tough guy. Peter, how do you see the fight going?
It'll be interesting. I think for us, being a tough guy, you'll try and be there. And that's why I don't want Keaton to focus on punching power only, but to deliver when he has to deliver. But, I think, Keaton's evolving every fight. And, I don't think Josh is going to have what he needs to stand in front of Keaton. But this is boxing. So, let alone we're going to be there to show what we've been working on. And, to prove that he is a champion. It's not going to be a fly-by-night for him. The belt's been passing the buck.
Yeah, nobody's defended the belt, in fact, sir. So you're aiming for many years now. You'll be the.
Crazy.
I mean, there was about 4 SA champions or something that never got to their first defense.
I think so. Yeah, no one's defended it.
So you aiming to be that man to defend your title successfully.
We're definitely going to be the man. We're definitely going to be the team that defends the SA and ABU belt.
Fantastic. Well, that's of course on the Eliminator show on the undercard of Kevin Lerena against Riyad Murray in that elimination for the number 1 spot in the WBC in the Bridgerweight division. So it's a great tournament. There's a nice undercard of fighters. Miranda Malajika makes his debut. Give Polo fights Intelo Nkosi. Michael Heads fights Tandy Mali. Of course, we're speaking to the mania. Keaton Gomes fights Josh Pretorius. He defends that South African heavyweight title. Keanu Koopman's also on the bill on the undercard. So it's a fantastic bill. And, of course, Kevin Lerena in the main fight. Are you excited to be fighting on the undercard of your stablemate in the Bridgerweight division?
Oh, yes, of course. I don't think you can get anything better. You train together, we work together, we put in the hours together under Peter's eye. He makes sure we're 100% prepared. So it's actually nice that we fight the same date because we're always preparing together. So it just makes sense that we fight the same night. We're always ready at the same time. So it's just going to be power for the people to watch and see Peter's guys do what they do. We're both going to be victorious.
Fantastic, Pete. And you actually becoming the trainer in the country that's well known for training the big guys that can fight. Now you got Lerena and you got Gomes in the cruiserweight division, which is brilliant. And they both look like, not cruiserweight, sorry, in the Bridgerweight division. They've moved up from cruiserweight, former cruiserweights. Bridgerweight division looks like it's just the right division for both these guys.
I'm loving it.
I mean, Kevin walks around just over 100 kilograms. You look like a 100 kilogram man. So Bridgerweight would be the perfect weight for your fighters. Last word from you, Peter?
Brian, I think Bridgerweight's the best thing for boxing. I know a lot of people got different views about this Bridgerweight thing, but, you're fighting mountains of men. Look at Kevin's last fight. I mean, he's got the punching power to eliminate any big man, but to stand in front of big man, I don't think people understand what 15 kilograms makes a rapid difference. So for them, I know this is a heavyweight title fight for us, but, on this scale where we're at, we need this in South Africa. So if he can fight the heavyweight here, it brings more confidence for the Bridgerweight because then he's strong enough for Bridgerweight. And, he just has to show up and do his business.
Well, good luck for the 13th of May
Thanks, Brian.
against Joshua Pretorius.
Thank you, Brian.
Good luck, Peter. And let's defend that South African heavyweight
100%.
title
We're
for the
defending
first time
class.
in many years. Keaton Gomes, thank you for joining us. And that fight, as I said, 13th of May at Empress Palace, brought to you live by Supersport, and World Sports Betting is our sponsor. And of course, Golden Gloves, your best promoters. From me, Brian Mitchell, thank you for watching.